I'm Matt from the Musipedia of Metal music blog based in South Wales. I'm here with an interview with Fury. So if we go along and you can all introduce yourselves for people who may not know who you are.
I'm Julian. I'm a lead singer and rhythm guitar.
I'm Jake Gower. I am the lead guitarist.
I'm Becky Baldwin. I'm the bass player.
I'm Tom Fenn and I play the drums.
Right, so first of all, let's talk about the re-release of your debut full-length album, The Lightning Dream. What made you feel like you wanted to re-release that album?
It was out of stock.
Yeah. Sold out. That's a simple answer.
Yeah. I mean, that's I guess the what's called spurred it on. I guess it's always nice to have, especially like the big release of the albums, to have them in stock to show people kind of where you've come from, where you're going to.
Yeah, people were still asking for them after they'd sold out. So we sold out of them last summer, and there were still people asking. So yeah, we just thought we'd get it back in stock, but we had to make a few changes.
Yeah.
And in two ways, like it was good to get it back in stock, but also we made it slightly different so that people who already owned it could have it as a collector's item.
It's got a new artwork on it as well, and there's an extra track, is there?
Yes, yeah. So, well, we actually had to redo the artwork. So when people are like, "Well, I prefer the old one," or "I prefer this one," and it's like it doesn't matter. Like, we had to get new artwork because we don't have the original file, and neither does the artist. But the same artist did the new one.
Okay.
So that was just an act of necessity,
rather than.
Yeah.
I think it's good as well because it. For people that have bought the original run, they've got that
like me.
They've got that original bit of artwork that and so it keeps it different, it keeps it special. I suppose I think that was good.
It just means it's got to buy it again.
Yeah, well, this is it. Yeah.
And then when it sells out in another couple of years,
buy it again.
Just have to delete this the artwork right now. So
Shame.
So, as well as that, obviously you've still got your latest full length, the Grand Prize. Obviously, the COVID crisis, it's going to come up in this interview at some point, put paid to a lot of the touring for that record. Would you say that it's a different album from The Lightning Dream and obviously Lost in Space? And as you've put, is it sound-wise different to that, or does it retain similarities, or?
Yeah, it is a different album, and certainly I see the albums as a progression. Whereas The Lightning Dream was obviously, we were sitting more in a slightly thrashier, as thrashy as we've been. Sort of the songs along. So thus far, yeah. So there you go.
Going off the back of those first EPs, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's it. And certainly, kind of that's where I was at, musically at the time, and your tastes evolve, and but yeah. So it's for me, it's progressed, and kind of as we've gone on, maybe I was going to say the songs got shorter, but then obviously the end of Lost in Space, the song got longer. But but yeah, in general, I think the music is kind of. It's been streamlined from album to album, sort of like started off as the average length on the first album was like 9 minutes or something like that, and then the average length of the song on maybe Lost in Space was sort of 6 minutes. So then this one the Grand Prize even shorter. And I don't know. I mean, it seems to happen to a lot of bands. Genesis,
you
go through your sort of you fulfill all your be as proggy as you want to be. Not that we were ever a prog band, but then you sort of, I don't know, you sort of gravitate towards more commercial music, but yeah. So for me, yeah, it's still us though. Like there's a lot of kind of musical elements that I think that still keep it us. I mean, and I think if you listen through the albums, all the key things are still there. So there's still still big guitar solos. Still, sort of, epic vocal lines, and I like to think of that anyway. But yeah, so all the, it's still fast, it's still loud, but yeah, it's a different album. So
yeah, it's like you said, it's got that more sort of streamlined, not necessarily commercial sound, but it's almost moves more into the hard rock style. Some parts of it do anyway.
Yeah.
As a subsequent to that, then, was there an effort to do that? And if so, what sort of influenced you to change? So, what was influencing you in terms of that album rather than the earlier ones?
The Grand Prize?
Yeah.
For me, it was, certainly after doing, so we had 2 albums of fairly sort of long songs, different elaborate structures, and the Grand Prize for me was certainly a bit more about let's just kind of have some fun and let's strip everything back and just let the song be about the vocal melodies and the riffs and just make a good song, and certainly for me, obviously the Lost in Space album culminated with A Tale of Silver, which is probably the longest song I'm ever going to write. I don't know, but and it's it's a big epic story about pirates, and it changes from it goes all over the place kind of thing. And certainly for me, I enjoyed that. I enjoyed that, writing it. I enjoyed having it in our catalogue. But it's a lot of a lot of work and a lot of it's exhausting to write something like that. Certainly for me, anyway. And I think I just wanted to strip things back and have kind of fun, and then.
And you say that, but sort of on the Grand Prize, you've got Upon a Lonesome Tide, which has that similar style of epicness, but condensed almost. It's almost like I don't really want to say it, but Disney almost. It's good. There's Disney vocal lines in it. There's this. If you didn't have that guitar hit at the end where everything gets distorted, you could see it. From
That's quite cool though.
Yeah, no. But it manages to have that same sort of cinematic quality without having to have the elongated run length, etc.
Yeah, I think maybe possibly as songwriters, when you first start, you kind of want to be like, okay, really fast and lots of sections. You want to stretch your legs and do lots of different things in your songs. But as you kind of, play more gigs and get more used to what your sound is, you start to want to kind of cut away any unnecessary bits and just get straight to the point with the song. And I'm guessing that's possibly one of the elements that has kind of influenced the songwriting. And
that was one of the points I was going to bring up. Was it to do with the touring of it? You know what I mean? That you wanted more sort of, to coin a phrase, "Don't bore us, get to the chorus." You know what I mean? That sort of hit bang 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 to keep that level.
It does make it a lot easier, if you're playing festivals and, we wanted to play Tale of Silver, but it's 15 minutes long. We're like, but it's such a spectacle when we can do it and we can get our friends on, make it more of a stage show. But it eats up your whole, half of your festival slot. And so, we'd like to be able to put across as many different songs as possible, which is just not possible if the songs are 10-12 minutes long.
That's what I think with the Grand Prize, every single song it's following a streamlined verse, chorus, solo, and then section, but as well each song is slightly different. As you got Casino Soleil, which is metal swing with a metal scat section. And obviously you mentioned Loads of Dive with the Disney section. We've got Road Warrior, thrashy riffs and kind of proggy, to be fair, all of the changes. And it's definitely very different, because obviously this is my first album with Fury, and you guys as well. So it's as a consumer listening to Fury for the first 2 albums, you can hear the progression and the sound being more refined. And I think the Grand Prize is just fun. That's literally it. It's very hard to play live because of how fast
it's exhausting in a different way.
When we've played songs off the Lightning Dream, there's slow sections, there's clean sections where you can chill a little bit and then go into the fast riffs, but this one is just straight in your face.
I think from a songwriting point of view as well, like Becky said, when you start out, you're trying to you want to do a bit of everything and you want to make it big and epic, and certainly I did. But then I think I certainly found that there's a skill in getting all of, especially if you're trying to tell a story or whatever, getting all of that into a 5-minute song, because yes, you can spread it out over 10 minutes or whatever, and that's great for what that is. But trying to convey all those kind of emotions or whatever the message you're going to get, and trying to compact that into a 4 or 5 minute song. There's a skill in that as well.
Yeah, very much so. Back on the back of the Lightning Dream, obviously you were almost a totally different band from them with only. Well, you're still there. There's been a few lineup changes since then. How has the band dynamic changed since then? That's more sort of because obviously you guys have not been there as long, but it's more a question for Julie.
Yeah, I suppose everyone can answer it from their kind of point of view.
Yeah.
But I think, God, it's difficult. And now obviously, this isn't saying anything bad against people who've been in the band before, but I certainly think things are a lot, happier now. Things are a lot. Things seem to flow more smoothly. I think more comfortable. We can all talk to each other. There's a really nice vibe, and that isn't to say that before it was horrible, but I don't know, things are a lot smooth now. Things seem to work. And it's different, of course.
There seems to be, from an outsider's perspective, from somebody who's looking at, there seems to be a lot more of the almost a playfulness to it. You've got the crossover stuff with Takesis, and you've got the silly Christmas songs, and that sort of thing. There's a bit of that to it. Have you got any regrets about not being able to hone this version as much? Because obviously now there's been almost a year of nothing, for which a lot of bands. Is there an element of that? Would you have liked to have honed this, the current version, a bit more live, so to speak?
Yeah, definitely. It's just we were all gearing up to the tour, and that's like a big part of releasing an album is being able to tour it and road test the songs and stuff like this. But the album came out right at the start of all of that, so it was, it felt like it was going to be make or break whether the tour was going to make the album a success or not. And then we were like, oh, there's nothing. And at first it was like, okay, there's 3 months of nothing, and then maybe stuff will start happening. And then it's like, oh, there's a whole year of possibly. We still don't know for a lot of the gigs. A lot of the venues are still unsure with what's going on, so we're not sure. I guess we can't be sure about next year either. So it's a real disaster, to be honest.
Because it was literally up until maybe 2 or 3 weeks before we were supposed to play the first date for the album release and all sort of stuff that we were still talking about, and it was really crazy the way it changed, because it went from the 3 or 4 weeks before the album came out, we're definitely going to go out on tour and talking about logistics and all that sort of stuff, and then within the space of a few days, it went from this is definitely going to happen to this isn't going to happen at all. No. And it was a strange sort of it's still kind of strange, but that kind of period, where you're sort of cancelling it. Because up until that point, I think in our sort of the band's entire kind of history, I think we pulled out of maybe 2 gigs, something like that. Yeah. And not that this is us just pulling out. It's obviously
it's but sort of a necessity. As well.
Yeah, but then all of a sudden, here's a couple of weeks worth of gigs just gone, and then more so sort of after that. But it was just really weird the way it kind of came about, and it meant that we had to sort of change how how we were going to market the album, and then the things we were going to do, and it was weird. What do you think, Tom?
Oh man, I remember mid-March there was a band I was going to see in Manchester got cancelled.
I was at the Evolve.
It was, and I was kind of in denial about the whole thing, saying we need to do it, man, we need to play this. I think the rest of the tour was canned, but we had our one hometown album launch show. All the work we've been putting into it for months in rehearsals. There's some backing singers involved, everything, and I was just like, we have to do this. But you can't do it.
Because there was a point, actually thinking about it, where it was a case of, nothing has officially come out in terms of from the government or anything yet, but should we cancel these gigs from a moral point of view, because we're hearing these things are happening, is it our sort of moral obligation then to stop people coming together? And that was such a sort of a nightmare, because it's obviously on the one hand you've got everything you've worked towards for the last year, or however long it is, and you think, well, you didn't know if you're making the right decision either way.
Yeah.
I guess fortunately it was taken out of our hands, and it was for the best.
But on the back of that, then you have had a few sort of live at home gigs.
Mm-hmm.
You've had the to coin pro wrestling terminology, an empty arena gig.
Yeah.
Which was a show with nobody there, except a couple of cameras and probably some various onlookers, hangers on. So you've kind of found a way around that now as things have sort of opened up a little bit more.
I think we've sort of balanced out how we're doing things now. We're keeping ourselves busy again now. We're working behind the scenes. There's a lot going on, not only with the re-release of the first album, but just more going on.
Was the re-release of the first album sort of something that was decided during this period, or was it?
I think how we were going to do it was decided, but because we couldn't tour, we couldn't we couldn't quickly make enough money back from the grand prize album, like recording costs, printing costs, and so we were like, I have no idea when we're going to be able to afford to reprint this. So a lot of the decisions and like the finer details were made during the lockdown, when it's like, oh, we do actually have a bit of money now, we've kind of made enough, and we really need this back in stock. Maybe we can afford to get the artwork redone, and as you said before, record a couple of bonus tracks, which we forgot to mention. But there will be. So we re-recorded a couple of the songs from that album. So the rest of the album is completely The Lightning Dream. It's as it was in 2014, but we're just re-recording it with this lineup because we've got kind of slightly better recording techniques, I guess, now, and production. It was kind of rough and ready album, I think.
Yeah, there were some production issues. It's, I don't know. It was our first, like I say, full length album, and we thought we were great and we could do it all ourselves. And
there are very few kind of DIY-esque bands that managed to come out with a first album that sounds
that's it.
Like it should be on a major label, full on £1 million kind of.
It's weird though, because I've spoken to a couple of people, friends, fans, whatever you call them, about the re-release, and they've said, things like, would you ever re-record the whole thing? I'm like, I'm not sure, because don't get me wrong, like. I would like that album to sound better, but it is what it is. Like, and a lot of people I've spoken to have gone, well, what's wrong with it? And I was like, well, to me, quite a lot. But people get used to something, don't you? Like, and certainly as an artist, you're always like, oh, I wish that was better. Like, but you got to think, we still listen to. Recordings from like 70s, 60s,
and Justice for All.
Some of the, some of the old. Don't attack me here, but some of the old Motorhead stuff or the old Black Sabbath stuff. That's the recording is out of the time, obviously, but we still listen to it. It's
we wouldn't want it any different.
No, that's
if Metallica decided to re-record Kill 'Em All in like the 90s with Bob Rock and stuff, it would just be like interesting, but like who's gonna buy that? They're still gonna want the original thing. So we kind of decided that was probably what the fans would go for. Too.
So I think that's why the idea, we did a couple of the bonus tracks just to give an insight as to what these songs would sound like with this lineup. But you've still got the original there to listen to.
Is there any more plans? Obviously, hopefully it'll start maybe getting better till next yearish. But have you got any more plans in case there isn't that loosening up, or even towards the winter now? If are there any more like live stream gigs or that sort of thing?
We'll be doing Power Metal Quest Fest. That was a festival that Takesis run, and so their festival was going to be in September, and so that was cancelled, and now they've moved it online, so they're accepting loads of different bands who've played previous years of the festival or this year's festival to just do a little performance. So we'll do that, and I'm guessing we'll try and look at other ways to do the online stream thing again. But I feel like people are kind of started to have enough of it now. And
there is almost a thing of people wanting to now go
back to gigs.
But
yeah,
I mean it's like obviously with releasing the grand prize at the start of lockdown. I certainly feel like we've kind of been through the album every which way now. Like we've done guitar playthroughs, bass playthroughs. We've done literally gone through the album booklet online and gone, this is this. We've done Q&As. So it's almost like we've done everything we can online. I mean,
other than actually going out and playing.
I'm playing,
yeah.
And it's a really weird thing. I mean, I think certainly for me, it's maybe confirmed a few things, or that I kind of thought anyway, and it's maybe changed the way that we view, or certainly I kind of view like gigging and the whole process, because let's be honest, the sort of the underground music, the sort of gigging scene wasn't always great. No. It wasn't always that gig we were talking about, earlier on, first night great, second night no one there.
No one there, yeah.
Mostly because they heard we were playing, no fun. But, and there was, as there frequently is, a big online debate that I sort of got involved in the other day where people were talking about, getting back to gigging, and, other people like, well, maybe this is an opportunity to sort of think about what the things that were wrong with it, and maybe address these kind of issues, and not necessarily just go straight back to it, because I think at the moment people got the rose tinted glasses on, they're thinking gigging was great, but it wasn't always. Like quite often there'd be posts from bands or people saying gig was good, but shame more people didn't turn up. Like that was such a common.
Sometimes you have it the other way as well, though. You have the the venue lets it down, or you have there are certain venues where people are very much squashed in like sardines, no matter what's playing.
Yeah.
Because of how the venue is managed.
Yeah. Well,
you know what I mean?
It makes a difference.
And that can lead to people having a bad experience.
But I think certainly. I think we should sort of take stock from this whole thing, and maybe like say not necessarily rush back to exactly how things were. Maybe stop and think about how do we make it better, more lucrative for everybody, and in terms of like releasing the album, and I don't know if it's uncouth to talk about sales and finances and all this sort of stuff, but I don't know what you guys think, but I think we did better because obviously we did a lot more online stuff, and I think we reached out to far more people.
It's almost a direct contact, isn't
it?
That's
it. Yeah.
Well, I suppose other people from other countries got to see us play.
Yeah, and I feel like we could have done that anyway.
We could have, but would we have? Would we have done it as much?
Yeah.
Probably not. I mean,
maybe not.
Because obviously we sort of transplanted, obviously a launch gig for having that whole day of online stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying we wouldn't wanted to do the gig, of course we would, but I don't think we would have done as much. And I think next time, and fingers crossed, when we do start to see live music again, and there's no reason those two can't coexist. But I think we just have to be more aware that we need to do this as well.
You could almost do a day of gig where you do the sort of things that you did online, leading up to going on stage and then playing later. So you have the two audiences almost.
Yeah.
Like a behind the scenes thing, etc. So then just off the back of that, what's the plans for sort of next year if this is all out of the way? Is it more touring of the Grand Prize, or is it doing something a bit more different? Or?
It's sort of just waiting and see with venues, to be fair.
Yeah.
That's going to determine so much of how we go ahead next year.
Yeah.
And just like everyone else, we're just sort of waiting.
Yeah, that's the issue, isn't it?
Yeah, we've got April next year rebooked for that was going to be this year. That's like transferred over to next year in April, and then a few of them from this autumn have moved over to next autumn as well. And I'm hoping that we might get some festival slots in the summer, but every festival has just like copied and pasted their lineup to the next year. And we didn't have much of a look in last year. This year,
I think we're just keeping ourselves busy in non-gigging ways.
Yeah.
If the gigs happen, great. But we're going to be busy regardless.
Yeah. Well, it's good to know that you've got contingencies in place and that you're doing stuff because of obviously the release of a brand new album.
Release of an old album.
A release of an old album. Yeah. A re-release of an old album.
We haven't properly discussed it, but I think sent a message to our group chat the other day, sort of saying, okay, well, how do we feel about this as a sort of rough outline for the next 12 months? Literally because we haven't got anything, we don't know what live music's going to be like. So let's have these sort of bits in place. So we're always doing something, and then obviously if the gigs come back, then great. If not, we have to look at these other things. So, but yeah, we do have we've got ideas of things we want to do. And
Great. That's heartening to hear, really, isn't it? There is so much sort of doom and gloom around at the minute that it's nice to know that there are bands that have ideas about it and that you're ready to ride whatever sort of wave kicks in.
Yeah, and I think sometimes as well. It sounds really bad to say, but like gigs sometimes get in the way of things. You think, we want to do this, and this, but then I've got this gig to like rehearse for, and so you sort of stop and you think, okay, and then it takes you a while to get back to doing these other things.
It breaks the flow almost.
Sometimes, it can.
A gig is a lot of work, isn't it? It's like, especially a tour, that's all you're focusing on. Even if the tour dates have broken up, you're still focusing on promoting it.
You're still in that tour mode, even for those gaps.
But we've got ideas, and we're going to film a new music video in 2 weeks, 3 weeks. So that's going to be fun.
Yeah.
No details yet, but it's going to be really good. Is there anything else we want to say? Like anything else that's going on?
I don't think we can say anything about gigs this autumn because like anything could change in the next couple of days. We've got a gig in Oldham apparently in like 3 weeks or something, and that was all going ahead like the whole time we were talking with the venue, and all the other venues were like, oh no, we're doing stuff indoors and it's not really possible to have a show. They built an outdoor stage so that they could have gigs. And they were like, everything's fine, we're going to do it, yep, sell the tickets, announce it, everything's fine. And then the day I decided to announce it, I was like, okay, go on then. Like the next day, there was an announcement that Oldham, that just particular area, was on like super lockdown. Like they were already kind of in lockdown, so they couldn't have indoors anything. They couldn't even go to the pub indoors, but they could sit outside as long as they were in their family groups. And then they had started a super lockdown, so they couldn't even
can't do
the venue.
anything.
And I'm like, do you think you might open? And they're like, don't ask us. Like only Boris knows or something.
Well, that was one of the things coming up here. This Birmingham's teetering.
Just saying that.
Oh god. So I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if we're going to probably still have an album launch gig at some point, and because I'd like to talk about this album.
It's going to be like album first anniversary sort of.
The first anniversary album launch gig.
Yeah. And we've got it for now booked in December, but the venue's a bit like don't know, like can we even like feasibly make it profitable, like open if it's like very limited capacity. So I don't know, everyone's in a really difficult situation. Like the music industry and venues were just not built to endure this kind of thing.
No, but it's unprecedented, isn't it?
Yeah.
And certainly from our point of view, like kind of as you said before, because this is our first album sort of all together, and this is a lineup, and kind of as you put it, like it kind of felt like this is it, this is the new lineup, and it's ready to finally go out together and play songs that we've made together, and then no. So
like a week before.
We'll see. We'll see how things go, and fingers crossed. Things come back, when it's safe to do so. And
that's great.
Okay.
Cool.
Well, thank you very much.
No problem. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Adam.
Thank you, Adam.
Thank you.
Right.